At the end of December and the beginning of January, tension was heightened by the anti-Lithuanian forces, the army and especially pro-Russian organization of local collaborators called Jedinstvo, which was initiated by Moscow and supported by the KGB. Nobody can say today what plan or plans were devised in Moscow to suppress Lithuanian independence, but one of them was put into operation on the 8th of January. On that beautiful winter morning, we, the deans of the pedagogical university, were working in the office of Rector Saulius Razma when we heard somebody shouting, "The Jedinstvo is breaking into the parliament." Together with students of our faculties and staff, we hurried to push the Jedinstvo out of the courtyard of the Supreme Council building. Crowds of people swarmed from all parts of the city to defend the parliament. That was the beginning of anxiety-laden days and nights for all of Lithuania. On that day, the first government of newly independent Lithuania was dissolved and the Department of State Defense was set up. On the 10th, we were given Mikhail Gorbachev's ultimatum to return without delay to the family of the brotherly nations and to re-establish the validity of the Union and Soviet Lithuanian constitution. Lithuania refused to conform, and the following day the Soviet Union started its military crackdown. The army seized the Department of State Defense, the press building, the railway station, and blocked the airport. On the night of the 13th of January, at 10 minutes to 2 a.m., an armed assault on the Vilnius TV tower began. Russian troops beset and occupied the Radio and Television Committee and stopped radio and TV broadcasting. It was a tragic moment for the defenders of the TV tower. Russian tanks started rolling onto unarmed defenders of the tower, and Russian soldiers started firing their assault rifles. Later, when the world will see the spine-chilling views of that bloody night, bullet-hewn bodies of defenders and people under the tanks, Russian generals would dismiss these cynically as nothing more than a photo montage. Meanwhile, Jedinstvo members and their leaders would talk profusely about what they called a small hustle. The collaborative National Salvation Committee, which sprang up, exceeded all the limits of Bolshevik lies. The leaflets, which were full of such twaddle as workers' groups which had been attacked, peaceful intentions of soldiers, and defense of the workers' interests, became the anthologized specimen of lies. On the night of the 13th of January, 13 heroes perished by the TV tower. Loreta Asanavičiūtė, Virginijus Druskis, Ignas Šimulionis, Darius Gerbutavičius, Rimantas Juknevičius, Rolandas Jankauskas, Vidas Maciulevičius, Titas Masiulis, Algimantas Kavoliukas, Vytautas Vaitkus, Alvydas Kanapinskas, Apolinaras Povilaitis, Vytautas Koncevičius. That night the Provisional Lithuanian Defense Leadership was formed. Vytautas Landsbergis, Aleksandras Abišala, Audrius Butkevičius, Mečys Laurinkus, and Zigmas Vaišvila. Meanwhile, in the event of emergency, a Lithuanian government in exile had to be headed by Algirdas Saudargas. Throughout the night, crowds of people placed reinforced concrete barricades around the parliament, kept a vigil on the roofs, and warmed themselves by the fires they made. In the morning, supreme tension hovered in the parliament square, which was full of defenders. Any moment, tanks and soldiers were expected from the city's northern military base. United by the decisive disposition of people around us, we listened to Mass, which soothed and calmed us. Hours went by, and the heart of the parliament defender Alvydas Matulka failed that night. The next morning there was hope that the Russian army would not attack. It attacked no more. A live ring of tens and tens of thousands of parliament defenders turned out to be an unassailable barrier for the Russian generals and the democratic leader Mikhail Gorbachev. On the 13th of January, mourning was declared, and on the 16th we buried our heroes. Such a sacrifice of Lithuanian people and their inexorable striving for freedom found their way to the nations of the world. Those who were fascinated in the West about Gorbachev's perestroika pricked up their ears. The great democrat Gorbachev and his military clique had demonstrated clearly what their imperial concept of freedom was like. Meanwhile, on the 9th of February, Lithuanian people once again expressed their opinion about the independence of Lithuania. 90.47% of 84.73% of all the Lithuanian voters who participated in the referendum voted for the re-establishment of an independent Lithuania. The will for freedom was not left unnoted. On the 11th of February, the Lithuanian Republic was recognized by Iceland. On the 15th of February, US Congress decided to declare the 16th of February Independence Day of Lithuania and empowered President George Bush to make an official statement. However, the fight for independence was not over yet. On the 27th, Soviet soldiers burned the Lithuanian border customs points in Medininkų and Lavoriškių in the Vilnius district. On the 19th of May, the head of the relay of Šalčininkų checkpoint, Gintaras Žagunis, was killed while discharging his official duties. On the 31st of July, Soviet OMON troops killed Medininkų customs officers Mindaugas Balavykas, Juozas Janonis, Algimantas Juozakas, Algirdas Kazlauskas, Antanas Musteikis, Stanislovas Orlavičius, and Richardas Rabavičius. Only Tomas Šernas survived the massacre. The decisive phase of the struggle for independence came at the end of August. On the 19th of August, a military coup began in Moscow. The Soviet army occupied the Kaunas radio and TV editorial office, the Sitkūnai radio station. They also introduced military patrol and blocked all Lithuanian bridges and motorways. On the 21st of September, volunteer Artūras Sakalauskas perished in Vilnius while defending the Parliament of Lithuania. At the outbreak of the coup, Soviet President Gorbachev was removed from the post. But 6 years of changes were not in vain. The Soviet Union was a different country by then, and the jerry-built Salvation Committee had no support whatsoever. People of the Russian Federation, led by Boris Yeltsin, succeeded in defending democracy. 3 fateful days altered the world. On the 30th of August, the Vatican recognized the independence of the re-established states of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. On the 6th of September, the Soviet Union recognized the independence of Lithuania, and on the 17th, we became a member of the United Nations.